Hello. Now, I asked you to turn up early, and I suspect if you did, what happened was you just put me on mute or something, or you went off to get a cup of tea. So I'm now here, and I can see I've already got some people with me. So if you've arrived nice and punctually, what I would love you to do is say hi and put your name in the chat box because it's lovely to know. Say where you're from and your name. So that would be great. Stick that in the chat box. I can see already lots of you are with me, and I'm going to get started in a second. I don't know about you, but I felt cold all day. It's just, oh God, but maybe you are not in the UK. So last Wednesday, I had people coming in from Spain, where apparently it's really warm. I have people from all over the world. So if you're, don't be shy, just say hi and where you're from in the chat box. And then I can see, did that come up? Send to everyone? Yeah, I think that came up. I've got Gitty from Battersea. Hi, Gitty. How lovely to have you on. And Ruhina, so tell us where you're from, Ruhina. Natalia in London. Wonderful. So I'm in London. Minerva in Sheffield. Great. So UK so far. Oh, Justina from Poland. Lovely. Robin and James from London. Kirsty in York. Wonderful. My husband's family are from Huddersfield, and my sister-in-law's in York, near York. So Hannah and James in Surrey. This is the most brilliant part of using webinars like this, because you can tune in from wherever you are. You know, it used to be that you had to get the train, come out on a cold evening and make sure you turned up. But now you can sit in the comfort of your own home. Adele from Dublin, wonderful. Eleonora from London, that's great. So we've got lots of Londoners, including me in South London. But we've got people from all over the country. So that's great. And I've seen a few of you have put the ages of your children. So why not? There's no limit on the chat box, so whack that in as well. And in just a minute, we're going to be starting. So I have to keep an eye on the time and make sure that I'm punctual, because you've been really, really punctual. And just to say, there was a little bit of a mix-up with the workbook. I don't know if somebody saw one on potty training. That is not the title. In Gay from South Africa. Now, I bet it's really warm out there in Gay. Yeah, my brother's just gone to Cape Town, so I bet the weather is really nice there. And yes, so tonight, I'd love you to grab a pen and paper. There is not a workbook that goes specifically with the masterclass tonight, but pen and paper will be excellent, and then you've saved on your printing. We've saved the environment for without printing. Okay, well, it is dead on time, and a hugely warm welcome to everybody who's here already for tonight's masterclass, The Secrets to Managing Tantrums, Meltdowns, and Misbehavior. And you're in for a treat. We're in for a fast ride. There's lots to cover, and do keep a notebook or paper and pen next to you, because you'll want to write some things down. So I'm just going to jump straight in and get started. So here's the goal of our time together. I'm going to talk to you about powerful strategies to avoid or manage poor behavior without resorting to shouts or threats. And how does that sound to you? So I really love it when you engage in the chat box. And not only do I love it, but actually the more it keeps you awake, it keeps you active, the more engaged you are, the more you're going to get out of this. So if that sounds good to you, then you're going to enjoy our time together. And here's what I want you to do. So I'm going to be really bossy about this. Please, please take time for you. I know what your life is like. You've got a busy life with children, work, managing the house, social, you know, all the kind of things that are going on. And I'd like you, we're going to be together for about an hour. So just take this time for you. Switch off your phones and switch off the TV, and make sure that you're have as little distraction as you can. I know that some of you may have a baby there, or perhaps your little ones aren't quite asleep, but as much as you can, switch off and focus on this and the time that we've got together. So this is for you if you are open to new ideas. And if that's you, then give me an open in the chat box. If you're thinking, do you know what? I really would like to get some new ideas, and maybe you're feeling in a bit of a rut. So stick open in the chat box if that is you, if you would open to new ideas. And this is also for you if you want to figure out how to avoid the battles and get them to listen. So if you think, yeah, I really would like to avoid the battles, then stick avoid in the chat box. Great. So we've got some opens. Yeah, open to new ideas. And would you like to avoid battles and getting them to listen? Excellent. Okay, then you're in the right place. And this is for you. Listen, do you want to actually spend more time enjoying your children? Do you get sick of the sound of your own voice, that awful nagging voice? And would you like to have more time having fun with them? Christmas is coming up, and it can be a time of massive stress. They can really play up around Christmas time. Lovely. We've got avoid, we've got open, yes, please. So listen, write joy or enjoy in the chat box. If that's you, you're just feeling like you're a bit sick of the grind of parenting, and you're sick of the nagging. Okay, great. So we've got, and how about some joy? Come on, let's stick some joy in the chat box if that's you, if you'd love to have more joy. I'm not saying that you're not having joy at all, but if you'd like to have more joy from your kids, great. Okay, so we are in this together. So I'm going to tell you a bit more about my journey and my experiences, but I want you to know that this chat box here is for sharing and feeling like you're not alone, and just thinking, oh my God, yes, you know, I'm not the only parent here. So who is honestly fed up with constantly nagging and repeating yourself to get your child to do something? So we've got lots of people that want joy, but let's find out right now if nagging is one of your challenges, or repeating yourself is one of your challenges. So if that's you, you just stick nag or repeat in the chat box, and then we all know what other people are going through. And maybe you're having some of these challenges. Maybe you're experiencing rudeness, or screaming, or fighting. You're fighting them, or they're fighting you, or fighting each other. Maybe they're being unkind. Perhaps it's unkind to other people. Perhaps it's unkind to a sibling. Maybe they're being defiant. A lot of people come on and say, who here has got a 3-nager or a terrible 2? You know, you find that you ask them to do something simple and they just say, no, I'm not going to do that. And you think, hold on a minute, what am I dealing with here? Like, you're 2, you're 3, I'm the parent. How dare you speak to me like that? So if you're having those kind of challenges, the rudeness, pick some of these and stick them in the chat box, because, you know, again, ignoring that's a great, you know, not a great one to be having, but it's a common one. So they're ignoring you, you're repeating, and maybe, yeah, they're getting to be known as the bad or the naughty one. Does anyone have that? Perhaps it's you just telling them repeatedly, you're naughty, you're being naughty, or that's bad, or you're bad. Or maybe they've got a little bit of a name for themselves within their school or their nursery or their daycare. Maybe it's not, you don't know if it's from the teaching staff, but it could be that the other kids have labeled your child as bad or naughty. Or maybe that's you. So let's share some of that in the chat box. Tell me if this is, you're having those experience of the ignoring, they're being aggressive, rude, unkind, defiant, or bad, or naughty. So stick some of that in the chat box. The chat box for me is a little slow. It doesn't seem to come through that quickly, but I do see it. Okay. And what about this? Just general unpredictable tantrums and meltdowns. And that can be related, somebody's just said, since their second child was born. Yeah, that's really common. I post frequently on Instagram. So if you don't know me via Instagram, do follow me, because one of the posts that got the most interest was when I said that the period of after you've had a new baby with your toddler is one of the most challenging periods in parenting. So, it's not at all uncommon to have those kind of behaviors surge up after a new baby. So people are saying, yes, slapping is something, as I don't know if that's them slapping you or you slapping them, but probably I think you're talking about them slapping you or others. And they just seem unpredictable. Like, you can, it seems to go from 0 to 60. Something will just set them off and they'll have a meltdown. I posted about, you give them the wrong color bowl and they're just, they're having a meltdown over it. So those are kind of, if you're having those tantrums or meltdowns, just write that for us in the chat box. And who feels like this? You feel powerless when your child misbehaves. You just don't know what to do about it. You feel like you go round and round in circles, and then you reach that crescendo. I don't know, them slapping you, and that's not at all uncommon, but it makes us feel so awful. So that kind of powerlessness when they misbehave and you just don't know what to do. So stick that in the chat box if you feel powerless, or if you resort to shouting and threats, because, this is about honesty, and this isn't about being a perfect parent, but you're going to get ideas to do things differently. And if you feel like nothing works, then, something like that in the chat box, share it, because I think other parents will find that really reassuring. Okay, so here's what I'm about. Being a compassionate parent is the most effective. I'm sorry, my slides are hidden a bit, so I'm going to just switch the video off quickly. Is the most effective way of bringing out the best in your child and getting them to cooperate. I see your children are little seedlings, and we need to make sure that the soil is the most fertile soil that you can possibly give them. And being a compassionate parent is the most effective way of doing that. So what do I mean by compassionate? So I mean things like not judging them or making assumptions about why they're being difficult, not feeling like, not labeling them as the bad one. So if they do slap you, not labeling them as naughty for doing that. Giving them the benefit of the doubt. Children are a ball of emotions and they're impulsive, and they will hit out at us because of that impulsivity and the inability to control their emotions. So we need to feel compassionate about it. We need to hold the boundaries for them without having to threaten or punish. And we need to really listen out for the causes of the misbehavior. And I'm going to give you some examples of that. So some people are finding that, they've read books, but actually it doesn't seem to be working for them. And I think that's why people like forums like this, and I'll talk to you further about how you can take this further, because I've got some great ways that I can help you. But it just sometimes it feels like, just by reading something, it doesn't get you to really understand your child. But I want you to understand that being a compassionate parent is the most effective way of getting them to bringing out the best, giving them that fertile soil, and getting them to cooperate. So in case you didn't know, I'm Camilla, and I'm the founder of My Parenting Solutions, and I'm really passionate about parenting. I've been a parent educator for 20 years, and I founded My Parenting Solutions about 10 years ago. I founded another company called The Parent Practice before that. And I am a mother of 4, and I am really understanding mother of 4. I have not been perfect. I have not got everything right. I still make mistakes, but I've got a toolkit. And this is what I want to tell you about, because I know how to pull out the right things to do in those, particularly in those difficult situations. And I've known how to nurture my children, and I'm going to tell you how you can do that too. So here's my family. I've got 2 boys who are now 23 and 20. So Nico and Felix. And I've got 2 girls, Scarlett and Alice. So there they were as little ones, and there they are now on the right-hand side. That was taken last summer. So my youngest, my baby, is 15, and I've learned so much from them. And what is unique about my approach is that I really believe in parenting with compassion, that I've already just mentioned. So not judging them, not making assumptions, giving the benefit of the doubt, just holding that love for them, but also having firm boundaries. And sometimes those firm boundaries mean tough love. Sometimes, they may just be absolutely hysterically disappointed about something, but you need to hold firm and not give in. But you can do that with compassion. So that's what's unique. But I want to tell you about what I call a fateful holiday that we went on. So picture this, we've got our 4 children, and we go to France with another family. I don't know if any of you have been on holiday with another family. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So this holiday was one where it really didn't work. And our son Felix, so we had baby Alice, who was a few months old, Scarlett, who was 2, Felix, who was 4.5, and Nika, who was around about 6, 7. And we went with some friends who had 3 children who were similar ages to our eldest 3. Felix was pretty jealous of his younger siblings, so that didn't help. He was just really discombobulated on that holiday. He was a challenging little boy anyway, but it seemed like he was just he was his worst, but he was displaying all of his worst behaviors. So he didn't like the food, and instead of keeping quiet about it, he complained loudly that it was horrible and he wasn't going to eat it. He didn't want to share things. So, if there was a toy, he might yank it off one of the other children. It felt like their children were so much better behaved than ours, and particularly Felix. He pushed and he kicked. There was a paddling pool, and he would push the other kids out of the paddling pool and say that it was his turn. There was so often a scream or a shout of one of their children saying, "Felix kicked me, Felix hit me." And I'd also find that the other parents would tell him off. And I knew that wasn't what I wanted, but I felt really hopeless. I felt like I'd got it all wrong. I felt like, like I say, their children just didn't seem to behave like him, in particularly Felix at that point. And it was just really becoming miserable. Anyway, one day we decided we'd go on a day trip, kind of change of scenery for everybody. So we went, all of us, the 7 children and the parents, in separate cars, but we went to the beach. And he was okay at the beach. We were able to sort of keep him apart from them a bit. He liked playing in the sand. But then it was time to go home. And I don't know whether you have this, but sometimes when they have to leave somewhere, they really become incredibly difficult. So the issue was that on the way there, there were 3 rows of seats in our car, and they all liked the middle row. So on the way there, it had been Felix's turn to sit in the middle row, and on the way back, it was Nico's turn, and the girls' car seats were there too. And so as we get to the car, he starts out, I want to go in the middle, I want to go in the middle. And he was screaming at me. I was trying to get him in the car seat. He's pushing forward. His legs are kicking against the side of the car. I started to get really cross and say, look, Felix, come on. It's not fair. It's not your turn. You know this. And he's going, I want to. I'm not going in the back. And he just would not get in. He's arching back. I'm feeling hot and sweaty. I knew that our friends wanted to get back for something, but it just wasn't happening. I was never going to get him in that car seat. They are impossible when they're like that. And I'm sure you know that kind of thing. So I sat on with him, and I took him away, and I sat on the dusty side of the road in the car park. And he is just, it was like a bucking bronco, back going, and he's screaming and shouting that he was not going to go in the back of the car seat. And like I said, I'd been cross, I got annoyed with him, and I tried to tell him what he had to do, and that wasn't helping. And then our friends drove past, and they looked at me, and I felt so embarrassed and so humiliated, and also just stressed because I knew they were in a hurry. So I decided I needed to hold him. And I held him, and I told him that he was going to be okay. When children are having tantrums like this, they're out of control and they feel scared. And I told him that he was going to be okay. And I told him that he was like Pirate Pete. He was in a stormy sea. And I told him that the sea was going to get calm. And gradually, bit by bit, he did calm down. And I managed to get him back in the car, into the rear of the car, into the car seat. He was like a limp rag by this point. And I got in the front feeling like pretty much a limp rag myself. And I said to my husband, God, what do you think they think of us? And I said, you know what? He will be our child always. And we need to do what's best for him. And they may not be our friends in 10 years' time, 20 years' time. But what you need to know about, and in fact, they actually are our friends, and we talk about that scene. But what you need to know about Felix is he's 20 now. And he is such a wonderful boy. He's so close to us. He loves his siblings. He's at university. He can't wait to get home for everybody to be together. He rings me up from uni and he says, Mum, I'm feeling quite stressed. Can I talk to you? He wants my advice. He shares his anxieties with me. He shares the good stuff too. And he's incredibly compassionate. He'll talk to me about his friends that he's worried about. And he'll say, that he went round to see a friend because he knew that he wasn't feeling so good himself. So this child who was just so challenging, and it wasn't just then, it didn't just go away like that, but to use the skills to nurture that soil and to have this wonderful boy developed. I mean, all my children are emotionally intelligent, but he was the one that really was the most challenging of all of them. So I want you to know how powerful this stuff is. And what I didn't really appreciate at that time was that he was being teased by particularly their older child. They had a bad dynamic. But that child knew how to get him. He was also scapegoated. Children will do this. They'll pick on the child that they know is going to react the most. And boy, did he react. And he told us afterwards that he really felt unhappy on that holiday. And that was what was causing all those tantrums, all that resistance. So I don't know about you, but do you find that there are similarities for you? As I was telling that story, what have you found? Do you have that feeling that you're being judged sometimes? Are you hard on yourself? Are your children acting up and you just don't know how to deal with things. So stick that in the chat box if some of those things resonated for you as I talked about my son, Felix. So stick around to hear more, because it's all about action, you taking action and deciding to do things differently. So I've already heard from some of the things that some of you find that you're shouting, they're feeling powerless, and you're feeling powerless and getting anxious yourself. You're dealing with stubbornness and cheekiness. So stick some more in, because it's really interesting to know what the kind of things are that you're dealing with. So here is what I want to show you, and grab your paper and make yourself an x-axis and a y-axis, and then draw a grid in between. And listen, pay attention to this, because you're really going to learn something as I go through this. So along the bottom, it's about empathy and compassion. And that's what I mean. You know, what I mean about compassion is understanding, standing in our children's shoes, understanding what life is like for them. And so on the left, you've got low compassion, and on the right, you've got high compassion. So that's the x-axis. And on the y-axis, you've got kids cooperating. So them listening to you and doing what you've asked and being helpful. So you've got low on the bottom, and you've got high on the top. And I want to show you when you have low empathy and low compassion. And listen, I understand this, because we get so frustrated by our children, and we think they're just out to get us. And we think that they're doing things deliberately to make us cross. So when we're in that mindset, and a lot of it is about mindset, we tend to shout and criticize, and we tend to make hollow threats. Who's been using Father Christmas isn't going to come? Because that's a hollow threat. Or we might say, right, that's it, we're leaving, when we know that we're not going to leave. So if we're not getting cooperation, we might say, right, no dinner for you, those kinds of things. And they tend to ignore us, and they lose respect, and very often they do the opposite. So that's what happens when you've got low empathy and compassion, and you get low cooperation on behalf of your children. So let's have a look at another one. You might be able to get them to cooperate without the empathy and the compassion. But very often how we're doing that is by using some kind of force or some kind of fear, or we're using our power. And when we do that, you know, it might be that by shouting really loudly, we can get them to get their shoes on, or we can get them to sit at the table, or we can get them to help to tidy up, you know, the kind of things that we're very often battling with. But when we do that, they shut down and they resent us and they feel disconnected. So they're not doing it because they're connected or they're wanting to do it willingly. They're doing it out of fear. So that's might be low empathy, high compassion. And think about yourself. You'll be in different quadrants at different times, and it slightly depends on your own mood and your own situation. So we may be high on compassion and empathy, but low on getting them to cooperate. So think about yourself with this. You know, we might be kind and understanding, but then we find that we're giving in. You know, it might be that they've asked for chicken, and so you've made them chicken, and then they kick up a huge fuss and say they don't want chicken. So we say, okay, well, why don't you have a jam sandwich instead? Or we might have asked them to do something and they just kick up a massive fuss, so we give in. You know, I use tidying up as an example, but it could be that, you know, and then we feel like we're the slave. So, you know, we've said it's time to put your toys away and they just outright refuse. So we just do it ourselves. And what happens then is that it's really confusing for our children. It puts them in charge and we need to be in charge. And remember, I said that we can hold the boundaries with kind of tough love, but still holding the boundaries. So let's have a look at the ideal quadrant that you want to be in. This is where you want to aim. This takes time and it takes practice and it takes tools. So this is about having high empathy and compassion, but also getting them to cooperate. So we're standing in their shoes and holding the boundaries. So, you know, with Felix, I understood, I got how hard it was for him. I didn't know all the elements of it, but I knew that he just, what he needed was just to be able to have that time to calm down. But I still held the boundary and he went in the seat. I didn't give in on that. But they feel, when we do this, they feel validated. They have respect for us. They do listen and they cooperate. Now, this isn't about nirvana. This isn't about, you know, getting it all perfectly right. But when you're in that quadrant, standing in their shoes and holding the boundaries, that's when you get the respect. And very often parents are saying, you know, they've got no respect for me. But there is a way of getting respect while still understanding that children are volatile and impulsive. So which quadrant would you say you're in? And here I'll just remind you again. So would you say that you're in the low empathy, you know, or maybe you veer from one to another? So just, you know, where would you say that you kind of tend to go the most? So are you in the, you know, do you shout and you criticize? Do you use force or fear? Or do you give in that bit too much? So stick in the chat box which one you think you're in. Is it the giving in? Is it the hollow threats? Is it the force or fear? Or maybe you do. Maybe you are in that fourth quadrant. Maybe you are good at holding the boundaries. But I suspect not always, because I don't think you'd be here otherwise. So here is the model. Some of you may have seen it. The great model for avoiding challenging behavior. And I'm going to take you through. And as I take you through, I'm going to give an example that parents often complain about to me. So this may not be your particular issue, but listen to it because you'll still get some of the elements. So the great model for avoiding challenging behavior starts with a G. So the G stands for get connected before you say anything. So let's take coming to eat at the table or sitting at the table to eat. So let's say that you want to get them to come to eat. So getting connected is going to your child and in some way connecting with what they're doing. So for a start, you need to have a boundary around TV. So if they create a huge fuss because the TV is going to be switched off, then you need to have some kind of boundary around that. But let's say the TV is switched off. You might get connected by saying, wasn't it a fun program? Or he's your favorite, tell me about your character. Or maybe they're playing and you get down to their level. So that's what I mean by G. Get connected before you issue the instruction of the fact that you want them to come to eat. So here's Nicole. She's a really busy mum of two, and she found that she was just going round and round in circles. Some of them of what you've been mentioning, you know, she had reached that crescendo of shouting. It was particularly in the morning, fights over the iPad, fights over getting dressed. And she learned the impact of that connection. So when she knew that it was time to ask Caspian, her little boy, to get dressed, she connected with him in some way. Maybe it was about talking about one of his favorite characters or telling him something about him that she loved. That was one of the tools that she used. And then she found that not only were mornings so much better, but things like trips to the shop, things that were fun. She found that trips out are so much better. And she found that she's just so much closer to him. And he's so much more cooperative. So the R in the great model is about respecting their feelings. Now, just write this down. All behavior has a feeling behind it. Or we could say behavior is driven by feelings. So we need to respect their feelings. Now, let's take dinner time, for example. Listen, it's not, children find dinner time frustrating and boring. And frankly, I wonder if it's because there's been a lot of nagging around dinner time. There's stress around it. You kind of know what they're going to do. So you are perhaps nagging them about it before they've even come to the dinner table. And that can create resistance. Maybe you've been forcing, well, not exactly forcing, but, you know, insisting that they eat things that they just don't feel like. Now, that isn't to say there's a whole other issue. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole about what you do or you don't give your kids, but respect the fact that coming to the dinner table might be boring, and playing is more fun. So when we respect that, but what I mean by that is putting it into words, just saying, you know, I understand. It's kind of frustrating to have to stop your game. And I understand that you don't want to come to the dinner table. So this is one example. You've got your own, and you just need to kind of think about the principle of respecting and validating the resistance, because that's what is behind the challenging behavior. And also, and this is a tool and this is a skill and it takes time to learn, but respecting their feelings, even when it really pushes your buttons. So, you know, this little boy, he might be screaming with the fact that his hot chocolate's finished and he wants another. And you think, you know, how greedy is that? It's terribly easy for us to label our children as things like selfish or greedy or demanding. And then when we do that, it can really press our buttons. But we've got to understand that, you know, yeah, he does want another hot chocolate and he's disappointed it's over, even if you know that you're not going to give him another one. The fact it presses our buttons doesn't mean to say that you can't still understand why he's disappointed. So that's what I mean by respecting their feelings. And recognize that it is driven by a feeling, even when you have no idea what's up. So somebody's written here, I think they've been in all of them at some point, but mainly more compassionate. Okay, just worried about giving in all the time. So you probably veer from being in the giving in, the low on follow through, the low on getting kids to cooperate. So recognize it's driven by a feeling, even when you have no idea what's up with them. Because, you know, with Felix, it seemed like it was all about the car seat, but it was about so much more than that. It was about a sense of powerlessness. That also, that, you know, he'd been felt like he'd just been judged by the others. I don't know about you, but do you find when your kids are around somebody that you know judges them, they're worse? And actually, when we're being judgmental of them, they're worse. So, you know, that's what it was like for him. He felt judged, and sometimes they are feeling judged by us. And I know there were elements of that on that holiday too, and it wasn't the last time. And also know that they don't mean to be this way. They are not doing it to get us. They're not doing it to really wind us up. They just are reacting out of for all kinds of different reasons. And I couldn't say right now what will cause your children to react, but there will be a reason. So here's the E, is managing your expectations. So I want you to write down the word should, and I want you to put a line through it. Because if you think about this, the minute we come in with the word should, we're pressuring ourselves. So my child should be better behaved. They shouldn't be having tantrums at this age. I remember going to a lecture when my kids were little. And in fact, Felix, those tantrums he was 4.5 at that age. They carried on afterwards because he was a reactive child, but I knew how to help him. Anyway, this woman in the lecture that I went to said that children over 3 or 4 shouldn't be having any more tantrums. Well, that's just not true. So take the should out. Because when you do that, and also the should is, I should be a better parent. I should be more patient. I should know what to do. Children don't come with a manual. It's a really, really tough job. Who here feels that being a parent is the toughest job in the world? So if that's you, write down tough in the chat box. So because personally, that's what I feel. I think it's the toughest job in the world. Is this making sense? So, I want to really make sure that I'm giving you value and I'm making sense for you. So is this making sense for you? So if that's the case, then just say, give me a yes or a go or whatever in the chat box. So we need to manage their expectations about the kind of things that we want from them. And we need to manage ours. So take the should away. So expectations of the table, you might want to have a little chart that gives the expectations. Tough. Yeah. That's so many of you say that it's the toughest job in the world. So the expectation that a child should want to sit and eat and be happy about what's there. No, they don't always. But we can definitely help manage that expectation by going through with it, what we expect of them, and say it's at the table. But that isn't by nagging and repeating ourselves. I'm going to show you one more way to manage that. So Patty and Simon Harper were incredibly frustrated parents of Luca and Bruno. So Luca, the older one, they felt was really ruining home life. I don't know if any of you are in that position, that there are times when you just feel like maybe it's one of your children, or maybe you've only got one, but there are just times when they ruin things. And they felt that, yes, so sorry, somebody's written it's being judged in public. Yeah, worrying about that. We do worry about that. And I know Patty and Simon found that. But so not only was he ruining home life, but also there are issues with him. So his big issue is he had activities because they liked, he did karate and he did swimming and he did Italian lessons. And he was really kicking up a fuss as Patty left him there. Didn't want to go in, she knew that he liked it once he got settled, but it was embarrassing for her. So they decided to stand in his shoes. They worked through the methods that I'm talking to you about here and others. And they stood in his shoes and they realized that they needed to cut back a bit and they needed to empathize more. And they started to hold the boundaries better in a more positive way. And things really changed for Luca. They found that they could go on bike rides. They found they could have happy meals together, and they stopped shouting because they had the tools to be able to do that. It's easy enough to say that I shouldn't shout, but if you don't really know what to do instead, or if you don't know what the triggers are, then it's hard to stop shouting. So A in the great is about asking your child questions. So very often we're barking orders at them. So instead, and this is something that Nicole found, really simple. So it's time for supper. What is it that I need you to do? And you're going to say that with positivity. And how many steps do you think it's going to take you to come to the table? So that might be some kind of way of engaging them. Now, do you remember what I said was for dinner? What do you think it is? So you're going to ask them questions. I get that there are other things involved and they may still be grumpy, but the great system is a great tool amongst others that I teach. So, but asking questions instead of telling. So write that one down, ask, because, like I say, so often it is that we're just barking an order. But when we ask, oh, all those toys on the floor, what do you think needs doing with them? That's the kind of question that you might ask, instead of saying, right, those toys need to go in a box and they need to go in it now. So how would you feel if you could avoid some of the conflict that you've already talked to me about? What would that feel like? Normally people say it's a relief. That was what Patty and Simon felt, that just that huge relief. They kind of felt so much more competent. They knew what they were doing. They felt less stressed. So how would that feel for you? Stick less stress in the chat box if you were to avoid the conflict that I suspect you're experiencing, because that's why you're here. And when I say conflict, it's those no's, it's those all full out tantrums, it's the defiance, the refusing to do things. Would you feel happier? Would you feel more in charge? Because that's what you need to decide. If I want to make changes here, if I'm going to decide to make changes, I've got to know why. would be game changing. Yeah, absolutely. Emma Burns, whose picture somehow winds up on the side, even though when I put it into, when I load this up, it's the right way around. So Izzy was a little girl who had a blood disorder that meant that she had to have regular tests. It means she's still a little girl. And she had been absolutely hysterical about getting her blood tests. It was just a misery. They had to do the blood test every 3 weeks. So there would be this awful buildup. In fact, they had just worked out that they decided they needed to spring it on her. But actually, instead, I mean, they had been springing it on her. But instead, they used the great system. And they set it up so that Izzy knew what to expect. And they empathized with her. And they recognize the feelings that she was feeling. So every visit had been so incredibly stressful until they used this methodology. And they couldn't believe the difference at the next hospital visit. So Emma was in a group that I was running, and she just decided that it was time to change. She knew that those hospital visits were not working. And what happened was amazing. The next time that they went to get her blood test done, they couldn't believe the difference at the hospital. Normally, the nurses would hear her screaming as she came down the corridor, and there was quiet. She was happy. She held Emma's hand. She trotted in. She went and sat on the chair. She pulled up her sleeve. She did what they'd organized, but she looked away. And the nurses were just gobsmacked. She let them take her blood, and then she looked around and smiled and said, "Can I have a sticker?" This stuff is powerful. We don't realize what we're doing so often, and we don't realize the choices that we can make to do things differently. So the T in the great system is about tiny steps, noticing and praising in a very specific way the tiny steps in the right direction. Because I don't know about you, but it's so easy to notice when they're doing things wrong. And it's very easy to forget to notice when they're doing things right. So the T is tiny steps of improvement. And what we usually are waiting for when we feel like they should be better at this, they should be more appreciative. We're usually waiting for something really significant. So the tiny steps of praise is about really noticing the good things that they are doing, even though they're not perfect. So that is the T. I found this quote by the Duchess of Cambridge, who, as you probably know, is a key player in the early years, in developing our attitude and approach to early years education. And she said, some of the science behind child development is extraordinary. Science has come on so much in the last 10, 15 years. It shows what a precious time this is and what an amazing opportunity we've got to really nurture their minds and put them in the best possible position for their future lives. The foundation that I laid for my children to nurture those seeds is really, really paying off now. I went through so much. Listen, I really get how hard it is. I've had them kick me in front of other people. I've had them shout at me. I've had them throw things at me. I'm not saying it's all perfect, but when you have got the tools and bit by bit, you know how to deal with those situations, or you know how to avoid them happening. I remember my husband was reminding me, once we understood how to prepare them for things, we were able to go to restaurants and take them out and do things that were fun because they knew what was expected. So, to get that joy from your parenting, not about being perfect, but to get the tools to feel more joyous and nurture their minds and put them in the best possible position for their future life is the best gift. We've got Christmas coming up, and forget the expensive toys. They need your time and your nurturing. I mean, not forget, but, put your focus on nurturing your child. So I want to ask you how confident you feel about your parenting right now, and what you would feel if you dramatically improved that confidence. So what would that feel like for you if you dramatically improved your confidence? So, stick some things in the chat box and tell me what that would feel like if you dramatically improved your ability to deal with different situations. I love this quote. So I've got some people said they'd feel less anxious about their parenting methods. Great. Yeah, that would be nice. And you would enjoy the time together more. Excellent. You'd feel more relaxed, happier, and more collaborative. Wonderful. I'm seeing some great things here. Immense relief. Oh my God, the relief of knowing what to do. And this is lovely. Success is like, this is Maya Angelou. I don't know if any of you know her. She's an amazing poet and writer. Success is liking yourself, liking what you do and liking how you do it. And let's think of us as parents, liking ourselves as parents, liking what we do and liking how we do it. How would that feel? And I'm not saying you're not doing things right. I know you are, but it would just feel so empowering. And you know what? If people judge us, we just think, well, I know I'm doing the right thing for my child. And that's how I felt that moment in the car park. Yes, of course, I was anxious about being judged. Yes, I did think, why are her children so much better behaved than mine? But I also knew, because even at that point I was in parent education, I knew that what was most important was that to trust myself. How would it feel to trust what you're doing, to believe in yourself as a parent? So let's just go over the great system. So it's about getting connected. So before you issue an instruction or before your kids are about, something's coming up that they're going to resist you, connect in some way. Whether that's taking an interest or talking about their favorite things, or just showing some love, some affection. Respect your child's feelings. Children are such balls of feeling. So respect the fact that that's, there are feelings there and that's what's driving behavior. Expectations. Manage your own expectations and manage their expectations. Ask instead of telling. And take tiny steps in the right, praise and notice tiny steps in the right direction. So that's a lot to take on. But I'd love to ask you what's been most valuable so far. So some people have said, already that, that you'd like feeling empowered. What else has resonated with you? Just stick some things in the chat box to tell me what you felt has been, if it's made sense. Just tell me if that's made sense. I've talked really fast, so stick some things in that chat box there. The more you engage in this, the more you're going to get from it. What have you learned so far? What's resonated? And put that in the chat box as I move on, because I think the chat box, like I say, has a little delay on it. And what action are you going to take as a result of what I've been talking about? Because that's the most important thing. It's deciding to take action. So what action would you like to take as a result of what you've learned so far tonight? Some people, so just back to that, I know I go really fast. Some people write that they're going to remember the should. Some people write that they're going to ask more questions. Some people say that they are, just moving that up. No, I think I am at the top of that they're reminded that children are balls of feelings, that it's a helpful structure. Great. Okay. So lots of people trying to be compassionate. It's not their fault. So yeah, that's not easy, is it? Because like I said, our buttons get pushed. So that's great that you've got so much already. So here's quite often what parents at this stage, when I've gone through the masterclass, quite often parents say, I really want to stop shouting, but I just don't know how. I've got some ideas already, but I'm really not quite sure how to really make sure that I stop shouting and nagging. Another challenge is that parents want to know how to consistently get them to cooperate without using those threats or shouting. And to really understand, some parents will say, I've got some things already. I know that I need to ask more, but I just don't understand why they're being like this. Because each child is so unique and they don't come with a manual. And sometimes we just don't know why they're being like this. And we need to kind of be able to figure it out. So what I'm going to talk to you about now, I mentioned at the beginning that I think I might have mentioned it to you at the beginning. I have a program that takes this deeper and further. It's not for everyone, but I'd love you, if you've liked what I've said so far, I really love you to stick with me, and I'm going to have time for some questions as well. So, but stick with me and listen and see if this appeals to you. So like I said at the beginning, I've had 20 years experience working with parents. That's both one-to-one and in group situations and giving talks and lectures. And I've tested everything out on my own children. And honestly, there's nothing that I teach other parents that I haven't tested out myself. Each one of the 4 has presented their different challenges. So I've honed these tools and I've developed the Tantrum Taming Toolkit. I am so excited about this program. I'm so excited to talk to you about it because it is just gives you so many tools and skills to improve your parenting. I want you to nurture those children. I absolutely adore children. Oh my God, give me a little one, give me a toddler. I particularly adore that age, but I adore all children. And I know that there are so many times when parents just don't know how to handle things. And there are so many skills to learn. And I love to equate it to tools because it is like that. If you're going to successfully cook a meal, you need the right tools to do that. You can't just bung everything in one pan. You need the right tools and the right ingredients. And that's what this is about. So I'm just so excited about this Tantrum Taming Toolkit, and I'm going to tell you all about what's involved in it. So it shows you, I mentioned at the beginning, that nurturing that little seedling that you have. And the Tantrum Taming Toolkit shows you how to be a compassionate parent, using the most effective tools to bring out the best in your child, not to bring out the perfect child, not to be the perfect parent, but just to know that you have those tools there. And the toolkit also shows you how to look after yourself so that you are the best parent that you can be, and get your kids to happily cooperate without having to be in that quadrant of being the pushover or using the threats. So it's about, using that tough love at times, but doing it with compassion. So there are 4 modules in the Tantrum Taming Toolkit. It's not just about tantrums. I use the alliteration because it's kind of catchy, but it's about all kinds of challenging and difficult behaviors. So maybe that's hitting, or maybe that's shouting, or maybe that's just generally resisting you, not necessarily having a full-blown tantrum. But it incorporates a lot of the things that I've been talking about, and so much more. So it's 4 modules in a login. It's a fantastic platform. I'll show you what that looks like in a sec, where you have your individual login and you have lifelong access to this. Because it's actually the kind of thing, and when I've done programs, I like to go back and review them. I like to go over things, and sometimes children will throw up, they change and a different situation will occur, and you can go back and look at it and review it. So module 1 is about us, and I always say it starts with us. And you'll hear in a minute from Melissa, who said just that she was the one that needed to change. Now, there was nothing bad about Melissa, but she needed to change. So module 1 is about our mindset and how we can work on ourselves in order to change our parenting. It also looks at what's normal, because that's so often what we worry about with our children. Is this is this normal? Because quite often we don't see other children, particularly now. There's so much less socialization for the last 10 months. And therefore, we don't really know what's going on in other people's houses. But we're looking at what's normal behavior, and also temperamentally, because each child, you'll have seen it, each child has their unique temperament. So I go into explain to you what kind of temperamental traits there are, and therefore how to adapt your parenting according to that temperamental trait that your child has, or traits. Module 2 is about those strategies. Parents will often tell me, you know, how do I handle him? Somebody said earlier, my child doesn't want to be held. So there's different ways that you can handle them if they don't want to be held, because that isn't necessarily what's right for your child. So how do I respond in the moment is covered in module 2. Also, take after the tantrum. How do I get them to take responsibility and maybe say sorry, make amends in some way? Because that's where your kids are going to get learning, when you make amends. How do you avoid misbehavior? Because, you know, let's face it, it's better to avoid it. It's better to prevent it. And I tell you all the ways to avoid misbehavior. That doesn't mean to say that it's not going to happen, but it just gives you the tools to avoid that misbehavior. Module 3 is all about the ways to bring out the best in your child. Each module kind of feeds into the next, and it's about catching the good. So I mentioned praising tiny steps. It's not easy to praise a child when they're being challenging, but I show you how you can do that, and the amazing benefits of what happens when you do catch the good, even in the moment of them being difficult. It's transformative. Using these tools is absolutely transformative. Another massively transformative section in module 3 is about building your child's emotional intelligence, so that they feel understood and they are much more resilient, they're much closer to you. And when a child feels understood, they are so much less likely to misbehave. It's incredibly powerful stuff. That's why my son will ring me and ask me and tell me, share with me that he's feeling anxious, because he's had this diet to improve his emotional intelligence. And module 4 is about harmony at home and systems for sanity. So that's rules and routines for getting a calm household. And we also go over the great method for instructions. I go into that in depth. So that it's a really full program, and it's so rich and it's long lasting. This is not just for toddlers. The principles are very, very valid as you go through your child's life. It comes in that, like I say, there's a login with a members area. It's personal to you, and you can review it over and over again. You can just do it in 5 minutes at a time. You don't have to do the whole thing all at once. This is what the members area looks like, and that shows you, that's module 1 with the 4 lessons within it. I've got videos of me doing role play, showing you how things don't work and how they do work. There's just a massive amount within that program. I also have, because I wanted to make sure that you got everything within the program. So within it is a bonus. And the first bonus is 3 group coaching calls for clarity and support. What I found, and you've probably seen it tonight, that it's really reassuring to hear from other parents. It helps you be consistent. It helps you stay on track. And it helps you get your questions answered. So the group coaching calls are with me, and they're 3 one-hour coaching calls. I've also added in another bonus. We use Facebook to give you support, and to support you, give you extra support, and also you to support each other. You can ping a quick share in this closed Facebook group. It's just a private group for people within the Tantrum Taming Toolkit program. So you can ping a comment to say, share a success. Also ask a question. What would you do if, or what do you find when? And it's lovely to hear from other parents, and I'm also in there to support you. So it's a really great resource. And that's the second bonus that I added in the program. I know how stressful it is to raise children. So I consulted expert meditation teacher Lauren Bear, who is amazing at she has recorded specially for us, for the Tantrum Taming Toolkit, a special meditation and an explanation about what happens in the brain and why meditation is so important. I don't know if you've ever meditated, but she makes it super easy because it's a guided meditation. So that's the third bonus within the program. And here I mentioned Melissa Denham. So Melissa is a mother of two, and she came to me at her wit's end with her 6-year-old. She was honestly having constant battles, stress, shouting all the time, threatening her little girl. And she followed my methods and found that it took a little time. But what she realized is that she was needed. She said herself, she thought that her daughter was the problem, but she realized that it had to start with her changing her approach. She is a loving mom. She's a great mom. She was a great mom before, but she'd got in some really just bad habits with her daughter. And by changing her approach, it transformed. She didn't know how to do it. And she said that my systems and the methods showed her how. It's that manual or that toolkit. And she says, forget expensive toys. This is the best Christmas present or holiday present, if you don't celebrate Christmas, to give your family. It is a really fantastic investment for life. And I'm going to tell you now about the cost involved of the investment. So past participants, you know, Richard Curtis and Emma Freud, I don't know if you know them. He's a writer and filmmaker, and she is a script editor with him. They just said, I worked with them extensively, and they said it was extraordinary how much a difference that my principles made to their family life. Sabrina and Peter, they went from being a shouty household. I don't know if you are a shouty household, but, you know, we just find that, again, it's about changing our habits so you can go from being a shouty household to one where you're actually having a nice time together. It really just takes the decision and you taking action, and that can move you so swiftly from being a shouty household into being a calm one. Sarah Mello felt she got lots of reassurance that she wasn't doing it all wrong, but she felt gently redirected to become better at seeing things from her child's perspective and adjusting her style, her communication style, to be a better mother. So if you want to, somebody has written up, okay. So sorry, got sidetracked by a comment in the chat box there. So I want you to understand the value of this program. It is unbelievable value because it will change the way you parent. So the Tantrum Taming Toolkit with the 4 modules with your individual login would normally be a value of £700. I've added in these bonuses because I want to support the program to make it the best possible experience that you can have. And if you just wait, there's an extra bonus from joining the program tonight that I'm excited to tell you about. So just those group coaching sessions, those 3 one-hour coaching sessions, that alone would normally be a value of £200. The support that you get and the encouragement that you get in the private Facebook members group, that would normally be a value of £150. And Lauren's stress management system, I mean, I put it at 50. It's actually worth more than that because it's so unique. So the total value of the Tantrum Taming Toolkit and the modules would normally be £1,100. But I have a special price for you tonight, and it's £247 for lifelong access to the program and those bonuses. Or you can split the payments and do it over the next 3 months at £95 a month. So you've got two investment choices. There's the standard tantrum taming toolkit. Like I said, all the modules and the bonuses, and that's £247 or 3 times 95. Or there's a premium package, and you can check that out. So there's a page for you to go to. I'll put I'm coming to that in a second, where you can see in detail what's involved. And you may want to choose if you want to work more closely with me, if you've got a very challenging situation, or you just want that extra support and coaching from me privately, then you might want the premium package. And that's £699 or 3 times 247. The doors close. I need you to know this, that the doors close to the Tantrum Taming Toolkit this coming Friday, the 11th of December at 5 p.m. And then I'm going to take a group through with those coaching calls with the Facebook support group, but you will still have lifelong access to the program. So it's tonight. Anybody who chooses to sign up tonight, here is the extra special bonus, but only for those that sign up tonight. It's a free 30-minute exclusive video session with me. And then you can get just those extra bits tweaked that you want to privately talk to me about. But that is only for those that want to enroll tonight. The doors to Tantrum Taming Toolkit close on Friday at 5 p.m. So you'll get some emails about that. But if you decide that for those that want to sign up tonight, that's when you'll get the 30-minute exclusive session with me. And some of them from last Wednesday when they came on live, some of them have chose to do that, but only those that joined up on the evening. This is what happens. You'll go through to a checkout page, and that's what it looks like when you securely put in your details of your card details. I offer a 14-day money-back guarantee. I'm so secure in what you're going to get from this program that I want to make you feel secure. So if after 14 days you're not happy with the product, you just have to email me and tell me what it was that you didn't like about it, and I'll refund your money. No hard feelings and no risk to you. So I'm just so confident that I love the program and I know it's so great. But if it's not for you, within 14 days, you just get in touch and I'll give you your money back. So I'd like you to take action. This is where you have to go. You have to go to myparentingsolutions.com, join TTT. That's all you need to do. myparentingsolutions.com, join TTT. That takes you to a page that tells you all about what's involved. It refreshes your mind for what I've just told you. When you join tonight, you get the extra half-hour bonus. And just to remind you of the prices, I'll remind you that in a minute. So here is often what people say. They say, I just don't have the patience, or I don't have the time is another one. And believe me, patience comes from knowing what to do. Patience comes from feeling good about yourself and having the tools to use them in the appropriate situations and then feeling successful. I'm not a patient person, but that's what gives me patience, when I know that I know what to do and I know that I'm going to be more successful when I do it. So that might be one of your objections. Or you might want to say, I need time to think about this. I'm just not sure. So that's fine. The doors close on Friday at 5, this coming Friday, and the 11th of December. Like I said, if those that choose to join tonight will get that extra half hour, but you might need to have time to think about it, and that's fine. So let's come on to your questions. I'm sure you've got some questions, but just to remind you, the standard package is £247 or £95 a month for 3 months. And when you go through to join TTT, I'm just going to put that in the chat box here. Okay, and I'm just going to put that there again, so you can just go straight through. Oh, no, maybe it's here. I think it's, yeah, there we are. Okay, that's the offer up there for you. I don't know what you see in the chat box actually, so I see different things, but hopefully you're getting a message that somebody said it looks amazing. Yeah, thank you so much. It does, and I'm so excited about it. So tell me what your questions are. There's your investment choices. There's the link. Okay, so tell me, ask me some questions. What challenges? What would you like to know about the program? And maybe there are some challenges that you're facing, and you'd like to know whether you would get that solved in the program. So, what kind of questions do you have? I've got some time now. You've been very patient. I've been with you a long time. I always mean to make these presentations shorter, and yet I get a bit carried away talking to you and sharing things with you. So what kind of questions have you got? Okay. Yes, trying to transition from high screen time to more open play. Would this help with that? Becky, part of the help that you'd get would be about setting the boundaries, about understanding what children, what's behind their behavior. So if they're having a lot of reaction, then Carly, I'll come on to your question in a sec. Then it's partly, so module 4 is about the boundaries. But the other modules will give you much more confidence in handling the behavior. So it doesn't give you specifics about play. That would be in a different program, but it just gives you the specifics to handle behavior and improve their behavior. So, and engaging with them and feeling more connected with them. So that's what you're going to get from it. And the screen time is quite often because you kind of can't handle the resistance that you're getting to asking them or requiring them to do other things. You'll often be getting a lot of tantrums because of screens. So, and we can cover that in the group sessions. We can do some question and answer on that, on reducing screen time. So yes, hopefully that helps. One-to-one coaching packages, yes, definitely. That is so what you would, I'll just go back here. If you look at the premium package, so when you go to that checkout, at the bottom, it shows you about the premium package, which is one-to-one coaching with me and this tantrum taming toolkit. So it's a brilliant combination of working personally with me and getting lifelong access to the program. And it helps you to go a little bit deeper. So that would be what you like. You spread it over 3 months, £247 a month. Just compare that to, how many evenings you've saved by not going out to dinner or to the theatre or things that you might normally save. And, in lockdown, think about the savings you've made and the lifelong investment you're going to make for your children. So that gives you the two different options, the standard program with all the support in the group or the premium program, which is, if you go to that Join TTT, it explains all about it. And at the bottom is the choice of programs, whether you want to split the payments or not. So let's have a look. Somebody said, a dog jumps on our dog all the time for a reaction. Yes, it will. It will absolutely give you, Katie, because that will probably be caused by the fact that it is getting the reaction. So often, I mentioned that they get our reaction for the bad things, and we fail to notice that they're doing other things right. We get in a bit of a negative spiral with them, and it'll help with things like that. It's not specific for sibling rivalry, but it helps you to understand them more. So yes, definitely could help with that. And I'd really encourage you to sign up tonight, because then you get that extra, people have told me I was crazy to offer that for this price, to offer that extra 30 minutes. But by signing tonight, you would get that with me, and we could do a little bit of extra on your son and the dog. So my son is over the worst of his tantrums, which were horrendous. Do you think it would help with not listening, not helping to get ready? Yes, definitely. Feels so minor compared with the mad hysteria. Well, that's great that you've got over the mad hysteria, but children are still, they still throw up things. They still, are grumpy, or they still don't listen. So yeah, it would definitely help you with that. And also it's about the understanding. It's about getting to grips with them. And then in the group sessions, we can cover things like that. You submit your questions in advance, and also you get to come on and speak and ask, come on live and speak and ask questions. So that is definitely something that would be covered in the group sessions. Sorry, in the program. Check it out. Go to the sales page and have a look once we finish this call, because you'll see, and you'll also see Melissa, who's done a little video at the bottom. You'll hear her talking about how difficult life was for her and how much better it is now. Honestly, being a parent is so, so challenging. I really get it. We're not taught. A, we're not taught, and B, they don't come with a manual, and C, each child is so different. See, what you might find works with one just doesn't work with another, and you have to adapt your parenting style in order to get that. And listen, £247 in the scheme of it, in the scheme of nurturing your child for a better future, giving them that sense of themselves, that resilience, giving them that belief in themselves, it's really nothing. I mean, I'm not diminishing the fact that times are hard. I'm not diminishing the fact that, the economy is in a difficult situation. But nevertheless, think of this as a really great investment in your parenting and in your child's future. And it is over and above the things that we give them, the material things that we buy for them. This is the best gift that you can give them. And I'm not just saying that. From all the parents that I work with, from what I hear them tell me, the changes that they make, you said yourselves at the beginning, what price for a calmer life? What price for more harmony at home? What price for just feeling like a really competent and confident parent? That's a gift to yourself and a gift to your child. So I would really love you to consider it. And like I said, and get that extra bonus of working with me. Yes, are you able to move up to the premium package? Kirsty, I will. That really closes at the end of this week. So let's have an email about it. But just if you want to sign up to the online and move up to the premium, it needs to go, because it's going with the coaching, the group coaching calls as well. It's all wrapped in one. So you'd need to decide by the end of this week if you'd like to go up to the premium. But you get access tomorrow. So the program opens tomorrow, and you get access onto the program from them. And then the first group call is Monday next week, not tomorrow, but a week's time. So that's our first group call together. And I'm so excited about that. I love group coaching. So I'm really looking forward to having you all on a call with me. But if you'd like to upgrade, then that would need to be done by Friday. You can add in anyway. But by tonight you'll get that extra 30 minutes. So the premium program will give you the extra 30 minutes as well, as long as you sign up tonight. So, and the standard program again, that gives you the 30 minutes. So that you'd get 3 sessions with me plus the extra half hour if you decide for the premium program, but that's by signing up tonight. So I would what are we thinking? Is anybody thinking, yeah, I'm in? Why don't tell us in the chat box if this sounds like for you. Tell me if you're in, because it's just great to hear. I think already somebody has signed up. according to a private message that I've just had from my administrator. Yeah, somebody's signed up already. So is that going to be you? Are you going to make this investment in your children, in yourselves? Give yourself the best Christmas gift that you can, because I really would like you to encourage you to do that. You can split the payments, £95 a month for 3 months. That's less than £25 a week. And, you know, we are saving money by not going out. So Kirsty's in. Brilliant. Okay, Kirsty, that's great. Lovely to hear it. And anybody else, if you have any other questions about the program or about your situation, just stick them in, and I'd love to be able to support you. So some of the questions, I know a question that comes up a lot is, how long does it take? You know, how long do I have to give to this? I know that parents are really, really busy. So it gives you, there's an app, so you can get access to the program on your phone or on your tablet. That means that you go back to exactly where you left off, which is really cool, because it's a bit like having a bookmark. I always forget where I was. So each module, you can do it in little 5-minute chunks. So each module is broken down into sort of 2, 3, 4 lessons. And they're about 10 minutes each, but you can press pause. So you can just, you know, as you go, however you want to access it, you can binge it. I doubt that you will, because I think that's a bit too much. There's a workbook to get you making notes for yourselves, so that you really make sure that you're applying it, because this is about application. And that's why in the group calls, I'm going to be cheering you on. And in the Facebook group, I'm going to be cheering you on, because it's, you know, it's about taking that action. It's not just theory. This is about making those changes. And parents will say, you know, they'll say in the Facebook group, I couldn't believe the calm morning we had. Everybody was happy. I didn't lose my temper. We got to nursery on time without, you know, all jolly. We sang a song in the car. These are the kind of things you'll be sharing with each other, because it is such gold, the stuff that, the support that you get, and the information you get in the program. It's such gold that you will, I guarantee you will make positive changes. You will feel like so much a better parent as a result of it. And positivity breeds positivity, and confidence breeds confidence. And when, you know, once you get into that positive reinforcing circle, you want to stick with it. And it's building a muscle. Now, there will be days when you're off, you know, because life's like that. You might have stresses that are nothing to do with the children. But the program does also teach you how to deal with those stresses, because you've got access to that meditation, which can be a real game changer. Katie's signing up now. Brilliant. That's great, Katie. So I'll be so thrilled to have you on board, and you'll get the extra half hour with me. We'll organize that. What I usually recommend is that you start your process. You go through some of the modules, and then we set up the time to speak. But you will get next Monday. Make sure you've written in your diary that next Monday, the 14th, is our first group coaching call in the evening, 8 p.m. Now, if by any chance you really can't make it, it is recorded, so you can listen to what others say. But I'd highly recommend that you do try and make that call, that first call. The second one will be after Christmas, because there's so much going on until then. But so that's fantastic. So Kirsty and Katie, the Ks are in, and I'm so excited about that. But listen, ping some other questions. If you've got any questions that you wanted to ask me, do fire away, because I'm here for you. And if you don't have any questions, then I'll probably just sign off. But it looks like some of you are still on, so do fire away. Okay, so we've definitely got Katie. You've definitely got Kirsty. Anybody else thinking about signing up tonight to grab that extra bonus. You can definitely go away and think about it, and you'll get all the other bonuses. So you'll get the Facebook group, the group coaching sessions, the meditation. There's other things actually included that I haven't even talked about. An interview with a fantastic psychotherapist, child psychotherapist, that explains all about child behavior from her perspective, and gives you some extra tips. So that's included. Yeah, so you can definitely, by Friday, the 11th is when we close. So you can have a little think, but taking action tonight, if you're thinking, I really would like to do this, just make the move. What I'll always say is it starts when you decide to change and you start getting access to the learning. And you will get that from tomorrow. You'll get your login from tomorrow, so that you are already making those changes to a more positive, calmer, easier family life. I don't think anybody else has got any questions. If you have, stick them in the chat box. If you haven't, I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you all on. I love the fact you've been so active and writing things in the chat box. I adore teaching parents how to be more positive, more firm also, and more consistent. And let's face it, that's the key to everything. And that's actually covered in the question. So somebody has an email. Yes, you can email me, no problem. You've got my email. You just reply, Camilla@myparentingsolutions.com. That's no problem. And I'd be happy to help you. So I think that's every question I think everybody has asked everything already. So I will switch my camera off now and just leave, that's the link to join. So really simple, myparentingsolutions.com/join TTT. So you can even jot that down and remember it, but don't forget, why don't you just click through to it, and then it's in a tab, and then you've got it open, because if you're anything like me, I actually really don't remember things. But I leave loads of tabs open on my computer and my phone to remind me to go back and pay for something, or sign up for something, or buy something. So do click through and keep the tab open. The offer closes at midnight tonight. I will answer emails after this if you've got a specific email to ask me a question. And the doors close on Friday the 11th. So thank you so much for joining me. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.